Something strange is happening in Manchester. And no, it's not about tactics boards, heat maps, or another Pep Guardiola press conference where he redefines football using metaphors nobody fully understands. It's quieter than that, more dangerous. While most people are debating whether Manchester City are finally slowing down, while others are arguing about who replaces Kevin De Bruyne long term, while rival fans laugh off another Pep system player, a footballer is slipping under the radar. Not because he lacks talent, not because he isn't producing, but because he doesn't look urgent enough on paper. Rayan Cherki isn't being framed as a saviour. He isn't dominating headlines. He isn't being force-fed into Ballon d'Or conversations. And that's exactly why this matters. Because the scary truth about Rayan Cherki is this: by the time people realise what he actually is, the damage will already be done. This isn't a breakout. This is a controlled detonation. Modern football tried to erase a personality type: the free artist, the improviser, the kid who plays for joy before efficiency. Systems became tighter, pressing became religion, freedom became a liability. Rayan Cherki was labelled as collateral damage. In France, he was called a luxury player, too expressive, too loose, too focused on pleasure instead of productivity. And for years, that label stuck. But Pep Guardiola has never accepted football's supposed limits. He doesn't erase talent, he reshapes it. When Cherki arrived at Manchester City, Pep didn't see a problem to fix. He saw an opportunity to solve something before it became one. Instead of forcing discipline onto Cherki, Pep gave him clarity: where to receive, when to slow the game, when to explode. Cherki didn't lose his imagination, he gained context. That's the part people miss. This isn't a street footballer surviving in a system. This is a system quietly evolving to protect a street footballer. He still plays with swagger, he still toys with defenders, he still makes choices that feel disrespectful. But now, those choices are timed. Pep didn't kill the artist, he weaponized him. Defenders usually rely on patterns: force the winger onto his weaker foot, close the half space, delay, don't dive in. Rayan Cherki destroys that logic. There is no weaker foot. There is no predictable angle. There is no safe side. He can receive on the left, spin right, finish left, or fake right, glide left, and pass without adjusting his hips. That technical ambidexterity isn't just rare, it's destabilizing. Defenders can't guide him. They can't funnel him into help. They can't trap him against the touchline. So they hesitate, and Cherki lives in hesitation. He doesn't beat players with raw pace. He beats them with timing, with rhythm changes, with body shape manipulation. That glide, the way he seems to drift past challenges without accelerating, is what makes him feel unfair. Defenders commit a fraction too early, and suddenly the entire defensive structure collapses. Now here's where Pep's influence becomes terrifying. Cherki isn't just drifting anymore, he's positioned. Pep uses him between the lines, in pockets where defenders are forced to choose between stepping out or holding shape. When they step, Cherki slips the pass. When they hold, he drives. And crucially, he doesn't force moments. He's happy to recycle possession, happy to disappear for phases, happy to wait. That patience is new, and it's deadly, because when he does act, it's decisive. This is why his flair no longer feels decorative. Every flick, dummy, or feint now serves a tactical purpose. He's not entertaining for the sake of it. He's destabilizing entire blocks. That's why his output quietly stacks up. Goals, assists, touches in the box, final third actions, and he's doing it without demanding the ball every second. That's the nightmare scenario. A creator who doesn't hijack the system, he enhances it. Here's where the comparisons start to feel uncomfortable. Not because they're exaggerated, but because they fit. Cherki doesn't play like a modern winger. He plays like something older. There's Zidane in the way he glides without visible effort. That sense of control, where the game seems to slow around him while he remains calm. There's David Silva in his spatial awareness, how he finds gaps. Defenders swear weren't there a second ago. The way he receives on the half turn and immediately knows the next action. And then there's early Messi energy, not in scoring volume, but in how defenders react. The panic, the way teams double him without fully committing, unsure of which option he'll choose. But here's the key difference. Those players were focal points. Cherki doesn't need to be. That's what makes this iteration more dangerous. He can drift wide and isolate fullbacks. He can float centrally and overload midfielders. He can act as a connector rather than a destination. Pep isn't building around him yet. He's integrating him, which means when Cherki eventually becomes the main reference point, the system will already be optimized to support him. That's dynasty planning. Manchester City didn't sign Cherki to replace Kevin De Bruyne. They signed him to ensure creativity never becomes scarce. He's a bridge between eras, between old-school freedom and modern control. While other clubs rely on perfect starting 11s, City add creators to rotation lineups. While others chase balance, City introduce controlled chaos. Cherki can start or finish games, play wide or central, change tempo without changing structure, and that flexibility is terrifying. Because players like this don't just win matches, they warp preparation. They force managers to overthink. They force defenders to second guess. They drain mental energy before kickoff. And the worst part? He's enjoying it. He doesn't feel pressure. He feels permission. When games tighten, he loosens them. When spaces shrink, he invents them. By the time Rayan Cherki is universally acknowledged as the problem, Manchester City will already be on to the next phase. That's how dominance works. So, here's the scary truth about Rayan Cherki. Nobody is noticing. He isn't arriving. He's already here. He isn't adapting to the league. He's bending it. He isn't fighting Pep's system. He's becoming one of its sharpest edges. And while everyone debates work rates and pressing intensity, Pep Guardiola has quietly reintroduced joy into elite football without sacrificing control. That's the real threat. So the next time you see Cherki glide past a defender, or play a pass nobody else saw, or turn a tight game into a playground, don't call it flair, call it a warning. Because football history is very clear about this. When a genius no longer needs permission, the league always pays the price. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe for more deep dives like this, and tell me in the comments, what part of Rayan Cherki's game scares you the most?